Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we have your WrestleMania Backlash recap. There were zombies. Will Ospreay has to vacate the New Japan Heavyweight title. That's a big deal. AEW is adding another Friday night show, which I am excited about. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast. I almost said something about LeBron just to fucking...
It ain't making me mad, it's making you mad.
What happened to LeBron?
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Legado del the Phantasma Homo Sapien. And out there in Edwardsville, Illinois.
Wordy as fuck.
Bo didn't think I was going to be able to get that one off. Out there in Edwardsville, Illinois, we have Two Beer, Zach Bowman. What's going on, Two Beer?
I'm getting to be Del the drunky Homo sapien over here because I got a 6-shot tequila margarita that I'm sipping on. So.
A 6-shot?
Damn.
Yeah.
You want to give a shout out to the tequila while you're doing this?
It is 100% agave tequila, but it's Exotico. It's a St. Louis company, Luxco.
It's going to be like Bellows.
They make good tequila for the price.
No, that's good, man. Keeping it local. That's what's up.
What's the brand? It's Schnooks. And sitting right across from me in South City, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on?
Oh, wow. It's the Powerhead. Since I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 206. Chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat. Big week of wrestling in and out of the ring. Plenty to talk about. I'm ready to get this shit going because I'm not even worried about the zombies. All bullshit aside, just to kind of start it off a little bit, I don't think the zombies really took away from the card itself. I just think it was kind of like a bait and switch scenario where we expected one thing and we got something entirely different. But we'll talk about that.
We're coming at you from steamy. I don't know if it's steamy. It feels steamy. It's fucking hot as fuck, man. My house was hot as fuck today, man. It's so fucking muggy.
All day. I fucking hate it.
I had fans on. I have an attic fan in my new house, which fucking kind of works. But I had another fan on me, man. I was sweating. I was working without my shirt on. I was in a Zoom meeting. Then I realized I didn't have my shirt on. But then, thankfully, I didn't know how to turn my camera on because I'm a fucking idiot. So nobody saw me without my shirt on. God damn, it's just been a hell of a day.
I'll be just sitting there getting high watching wrestling.
Still on your chest.
Kurt Stallion's handprint still on my chest. I got it tattooed on there.
I call it Kurt Hawkins. Oh God, I'm already getting banged up.
Well, you're probably 2.5 shots into that 6-shot margarita.
Down, dog. Jesus.
Let's just get right into it. Fuck it. Here's the 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick us off.
Let's jump back to Sunday night. WrestleMania Backlash. We kind of talked about it a little bit. For me, the biggest takeaway from WrestleMania Backlash was the main event with one Roman Reigns and one Cesaro. Jimmy Uso coming back was something that I had talked about plenty of times and was anticipating that return, and I just thought that he would just fall in line and things would just run with the bloodline as this heel faction. The fact that he hasn't fallen in line gives an extra wrinkle to what is going to be a long Roman Reigns title reign. So we got to keep things fresh. The fact that you now have Jimmy coming back, now basically saying, fuck a Roman Reigns, Jay, you need to stop, helping Roman Reigns out and start, working with me. Let's get the tag team titles back. I think that's a really good wrinkle to go into this Roman Reigns match. Obviously, like we talked about last week, we all picked Roman Reigns, and he did go over. The match itself, I thought, was really, really good. It shows to me, once again, it reinforces the fact, at least for me, that Cesaro can be a top bill guy. Yeah, he can win the U.S. title. Yeah, he can win the Intercontinental Championship. Been there, done that. I think this kind of puts it to where now he could be on that echelon of the Daniel Bryans in the world when you think about WWE's technical wrestlers currently that you have right now. Cesaro is one of those guys. And he and Roman Reigns had a really good match, basically back and forth. The injury finally came into play where Roman did take it over and finally won, and won it clean, which I thought is another big point of that match. Him winning clean kind of takes away from, Roman Reigns needs Jay a little bit, but then obviously after the fact, Jey Uso wanted to go ahead and get a little piece of Cesaro, neither here nor there. To me, like I said, that was the biggest takeaway from WrestleMania Backlash, is that Roman Reigns once again reigns supreme, for lack of a better word, without help. And now you have a Hell in a Cell kind of creeping around the corner. What's next for Roman? It might be Jimmy Uso. Why you bullshitting?
I think it's Jimmy Uso. Zach, what did you think about the pay-per-view, and what did you think about that main event?
You are going to be surprised. I loved it.
Wait. Hang on.
You loved what?
Yeah, be specific.
Aside from one match. But
the zombies?
I can talk about... Yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll get to the zombies in a minute.
Up on it. But as far as the main event goes, I mean, it is totally not what I expected. Did not expect a clean technical wrestling match, especially one that lasted almost a half an hour. I thought this match ruled. I love the story of it. I kind of imagine, like, the way that they worked the story of it was, like, Roman going up to Cesaro and being like, hey, man, you ain't swinging me, dog. And Cesaro's like, all right, then we work the arm.
Right. I didn't really expect Cesaro to swing Roman. It just... I would have been surprised.
If it happened, I wouldn't have been mad. It didn't happen. I mean, that's, to me, a really small, ask for what was a really good fucking main event.
Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that, there was no interference, I loved. And I thought Cesaro looked really good. Proves that Roman Reigns is a good wrestler also. Like, a lot of people shit on Roman Reigns. He's a great wrestler. And, he's the top guy. And the kind of Jimmy Uso storyline, I think the success of the Jey Uso storyline means that we're going to kind of repeat it with Jimmy just because, like, it works so well. I just see them going back and let's say and run it back, because that's what wrestling is. You find something that works and you do it again until it doesn't work anymore. And it gets tired.
Yeah, what the phrase that kept going through my head as I was thinking about the podcast today was like, and I went back and rewatched. The only match that I watched the other night was the main event, and then I went back and rewatched the whole thing today. There were a couple matches I liked a lot. I liked Dirty Dogs versus the Mysterios. I thought
surprisingly good. Yeah,
I thought that was really good. It makes sense though when you think about the players in that match, because those are some pro wrestlers that can tell a story. The phrase that kept going through my head was, man, that Cesaro Reigns match was borderline great. And now I'm thinking about, like, no, that was actually great. Like, you go into, it's the same thing with Daniel Bryan. Like, if you go into this match and you know that Roman Reigns is going to go over, which we all did, we all picked Roman Reigns. And then, like, there was a little tickle in the back of my brain.
Is this getting ready to happen?
I was like, man, I'm a sucker for a good injury story in a match, and Cesaro was clearly favoring that shoulder, and he was throwing those punches, and every time he threw it, it fucking hurt him. I loved this match. Cesaro came to play, and I'm one of those guys that Zach talks about, that Zach referred to, that shits on Roman Reigns as a wrestler. But the more I think about it, because that WrestleMania 31 match with him and Lesnar is one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. And I think that Reigns really shines in these kind of slow, methodical matches where the story where the crank just keeps getting twisted and turned and turned and turned. And those are the matches where he shined. He has had some great matches in the last 6 months. And I don't think that that's necessarily separate from him finding a character that he can really dig his teeth in, that you can tell he feels comfortable doing. And, man, that match Sunday night was no different. That was a fucking great match.
I agree.
I loved it.
Just real quick, I said Jimmy Uso. I meant to say Seth Rollins jumped Cesaro after the fact, so that would set up a possible Hell in a Cell match there.
Oh, you can't tell them apart?
No, I really can't. I was about to say, you got me for one of the first times ever. I can't tell the white and black guys apart.
Jimmy's the one with the mutton chop.
Seth is married to Naomi.
Yeah, right. No, I agree with everything you guys have said. Just kind of looking forward. You do have Hell in a Cell coming up, and I was thinking about it because everybody's like, okay, so what's next for Roman? What's next for Roman? Because obviously with Seth Rollins coming out and jumping Cesaro, that effectively takes Cesaro out of that, and I would assume, at least for Cesaro, Seth Rollins, that is a Hell in a Cell match or a possible Hell in a Cell match, depending on what happens in the next few weeks.
Well, Hell in a Cell wasn't that long ago. Hell in a Cell was the match with Reigns and Jey Uso.
Right.
So, to Zach's point, they might just be bringing... Hell in a Cell is an autumn thing. Yeah,
usually.
I don't know why I said autumn. I never say autumn. It's a fall
thing. Winter thing, yeah.
But they might just be bringing it back this quick just to have a Jimmy versus Roman Reigns Hell in a Cell match.
That, or the fact that they have Money in the Bank is usually in this spot. Maybe they're holding Money in the Bank back for, to have it with crowds, because now crowds are going to start coming back. We're going to talk about that here later on.
Maybe they'll have Roman win Money in the Bank, too. I don't know. All roads lead to Roman. Who knows?
We've said it for 2.5 years, and now it's finally coming true. I like the Jimmy Uso factor, because now I can see it to where Jimmy is going to be that malcontent, the fly in the ointment, whatever phrase you want to call it. And now Roman's just going to have to be like, look, motherfucker, I'm going to need you to fall in line, or you're going to have to get the fuck on. So that's my guess for Roman Reigns. And like I was getting ready to say, I wouldn't have a problem if Roman was off the Hell in a Cell show entirely, so you could really let that Uso... No, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying I wouldn't be upset, but it's not going to happen. Like I said, Jimmy Uso feels like it's going to be the next spot for Roman Reigns, especially when he's walking around with nobody.
Unless it's Jimmy versus Jay.
That too. That could be the
Hell
alternate.
Too, Tribal Chief Boogaloo.
This motherfucker here.
He's heating up.
Jimmy or Jay, Jimmy Roman would be either or. I kind of like Roman a little better because it has that, like you guys have said, that run it back. But brother versus brother is always good, and you can never go wrong with that, especially with the Hell in a Cell. And you have the step where if Jimmy loses, he has to join the bloodline. Actually, the more and more I'm thinking about it, that's the reason why I'm saying that I wouldn't be upset that Roman wasn't on the show. If you had that match where you had brother versus brother, the loser, if Jimmy loses, he has to come over. That works for me.
What else did you like about the pay-per-view, Zach?
I love the opening match, the triple threat with the women. I thought that was incredibly well worked. One of my biggest gripes about triple threats in general, but specifically in WWE, is usually like have somebody throw somebody out, and then they're out, and then two people work for a while, and then that person comes in and wipes one of them out, and then those two people work for a while. And this was kind of more of like an indie style triple threat where like the three women were in the ring most of the time together.
It was nonstop.
And I thought, it was just nonstop, 15 minutes, very fast paced, very well worked. We did have that classic finish where, Charlotte essentially gets the pin or gets the setup to the pin. Rhea does the Riptide, kind of not steals the win, but, it's a similar finish, but it totally worked. And I thought it was awesome. And I thought it was one of the best matches, like, on the show for sure. Separately, another triple threat, which Phil can speak to for both of these, that men's triple threat, way over delivered. I was not even looking forward to this match. Like, I didn't even give a shit about it. I was like, all right, Bianca and Bayley, they had a good match, and I'm like, all right, now we got this like triple threat men's match. I'm interested to see what happens, but it's probably just gonna be whatever. And then I feel like Drew McIntyre just really lights fires under motherfuckers' asses. I know he lights up fires in my pants, but this guy,
of course,
rules. And I mean, Braun over-delivered. Braun took so many bumps, like overhead, belly to belly, that he almost died on. He did a fucking flip tope that Drew McIntyre like saved his fucking life, and he almost died on. Like, this guy was working his dick off, and so was everybody else in the match, just working their big dangly dicks off, and I'm appreciative.
I was appreciative of that match. Also, they tried to switch it up at least a little bit. They had Braun jumping off of shit a whole bunch.
Shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Braun putting Drew through the announce table looked especially violent.
Mm-hmm.
I was cool with that when I watched it today. Not a whole lot to say about this match, except Jason was right and Zach and I were wrong. Lashley went over. Zach and I both had McIntyre. You can act humble, but, I mean, you got it right.
I don't think it was that big of a stretch, honestly.
Probably not, but out of the three guys on the podcast, you were the one that got it right. So go ahead and vamp a little bit.
No, I'll say this. To me, I think, and this might just be me just kind of, wishing upon a star or whatever, but I'm seeing a trend where at least the top guys are getting longer, lengthier title runs. Obviously, Roman Reigns being the prime suspect or whatever, for lack of a better word, for this subject. I mean, like I said, I'm expecting Roman to hold this title for at least the rest of the year, and it wouldn't surprise me if it went into next year's WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre, kind of the same thing. Even though he had that little hiccup where he coughed it up to Randy, he ended up getting it right back. So, I mean, basically, between WrestleMania and the end of the year, he had, a couple of title reigns, from April to December. So now here comes Lashley coming up, and now here's his chance to kind of have a little run, too. So I like the fact that they're at least giving guys a chance to, have a title reign. It's not, hot shot in the title left and right. So Bobby Lashley, to me, kind of made sense to where Braun, unfortunately, has to take the pin. But, I mean, like you guys said, Braun did, things that I would have never imagined Braun Strowman been doing. And it was good to see that, they gave him a kind of a platform to kind of, spotlight what he can do, besides just, be a little choo-choo train on the outside of the ring. Lashley, to me, is still not being booked the way he was being booked strongly up until WrestleMania. People kind of forget that Braun Strowman got worked over by Bobby Lashley on the way to WrestleMania. And then now, all of a sudden, it kind of felt like, Braun Strowman was getting this little momentum up until Backlash. It was good to see Bobby Lashley win one, but I think the bigger picture, and, well, I shouldn't say maybe it's going to happen, because obviously on Monday night we had a little bit of an upset. Lashley Drew feels like it's the bigger picture, but Kofi Kingston might have a little something to say about that as well.
Zach, what do you think about that? Do you think Kofi Kingston will be Bobby Lashley's opponent at Hell in a Cell after his win Monday night?
I think he's a good opponent. I think it works real well. It seems they're leaning in that direction, and I think it'll be a good match. I think Lashley has been presented as an absolute dominator, and they've done a good job with their top guys. Fiend aside, and regular WWE booking being questionable, and aside, their top guys, Roman, Drew, Lashley, they've really done a good job with. I think, especially Roman and Drew, they just seem like such stars. And part of that is them, but part of it's their presentation. And, outside of mid-card tag team, it's almost non-existent, these guys are doing good work.
Yeah, and we got so used to Cena being the top guy in WWE that it was kind of hard, Brock Lesnar notwithstanding, it got kind of hard. It's nice to see these guys being presented as actual badasses and guys that don't lose cheap matches. They don't lose cheaply. They are just world beaters. And that is pretty refreshing. And I like the idea of Lashley versus Kofi at Hell in a Cell also, because you got brother versus brother, Jay versus Jimmy, and then brother versus brother, Lashley versus Kofi.
You ain't shit.
Couldn't even get it out.
Well, no, this is the long overdue rematch, or I guess for lack of a better term, for Kofi Kingston, when Brock, squashed him in, how many seconds. He never
Lashley beat him in 8 seconds.
Right. Okay. So,
well, they teased it on Monday night too. Lashley gave him a spinebuster, I think.
Sounds right. Yeah, it was really early.
It was really quick,
and then he got to the pin. I'm like, you better not. I swear to God, I'll lose my.
And I look forward to Kofi losing that match at Hell in a Cell and then acting like nothing happened the next night.
At least they're going to throw us a bone that wanted Kofi to get a rematch. And as long as he got a rematch and he lost to Brock again, nobody says anything. Now, months later, it's just going to happen with a different guy. Same result, I agree.
Bayley versus Bianca Belair was a match that exceeded my expectations also.
Really?
Yes.
Bayley, like, Bianca's an obvious star. Bayley's great.
I'm still kind of surprised at how good Bayley is as a heel.
Me too. I was just thinking that the other night, because she fucking carried that division during its, like, I wouldn't say it's darkest times, but it's been darker, but like darkest modern times because of the pandemic. I think this is leading to a hair versus hair match, because Bayley already has like a little shave in the back of her head, and I think they're gonna go hair versus hair, and Bayley's gonna have to shave her head.
I'd be into that.
No, Stardom might have a fucking heart attack. They did some shit like that. I agree with Two Beer on this one. I think you're not giving Bayley enough credit for what she did for that pandemic era and how she's now the SmackDown longest reigning SmackDown champion. Whether it was hers or Sasha or just her solo dolo, Bayley was the centerpiece of the women's division. When you're talking about, you got
the show, actually,
pretty much.
Like, not even just the women's division, the show.
When you got Asuka, Charlotte, Becky for a little bit, Sasha Banks, Bayley was always kind of like the odd person out, and then all of a sudden she had this heel turn, and they teased it, years ago or whatever, when she kind of jumped Charlotte or whatever, and everybody was like, okay, this is it, this is the Bayley heel turn, and they never, followed through with it. This was a follow through, and then she kind of picked up the ball and ran with it. So for me, she always had the in-ring talent. I just wondered if she was going to be a good heel to kind of, develop this new character, reinvent herself, if you will. As far as I'm concerned, like I said, the pandemic era, whatever you want to call it, from 2020 was enough for me to believe that she can be either face or heel. And when she does,
now
eventually goes back face.
Such a good heel. I'm like, what? Like, how can she? Like, she was such a good face, and now she's such a good heel. I'm like, now how can she be such a good face again after being such a great heel? And I know she can do it, but it's so funny how that paradigm shifts.
No, for sure.
Okay, so now we got to get to really.
Hey, for us, I would say, for any WWE product, the fact that we kind of gave it flowers for like 10 or 15 minutes straight without taking a nice little dump on it.
That's true.
I think that's credit to all of us.
There's a lot of apologists out there, though, that for those of you that didn't see it, there was a promotional tie-in with the Lumberjack match between Damian Priest and The Miz, with the new Zack Snyder. I think it's Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's new Army of the Dead movie starring Dave Bautista, WWE superstar, who ends up being a pretty good actor. I don't know if anybody's ever seen Blade Runner 2049. The dude is fucking good.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, surprisingly good.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, there was a tie-in with this Lumberjack match where the Lumberjacks were zombies. So I'll just get all the let me devil's advocate it this way, because I was driving down here and I was thinking I'm going to have to devil's advocate this just for the sake of being good pod. I understand that as an entertainment company, that WWE has to, if Universal Studios or whoever the fuck made the movie, I don't even care who it is, whoever comes to WWE and says, we're going to give you this truckload of cash and we want to have a tie-in with this new Army of the Dead movie. And WWE's like, well, or Vince says, well, the Lumberjacks will be zombies. I understand you got to take the cash, but as a wrestling fan, as a WWE fan, as somebody who's given the company a lot of money over the past, 25 years, this is insulting, right? I mean, this is like the stupidest fucking shit you've ever seen, right? Like, I don't know what's more insulting, that the zombies were the Lumberjacks or that Miz and Morrison were kayfabe style, pretending that they actually thought that these people were zombies. Like, I don't know what's more insulting. And why can't you just have... I know that Miz will do anything for the company, obviously. He will do anything for the company.
Shit, he tore his knee up doing it.
Well, the zombies ate his ACL. But he's shoot hurt now. I don't think it had anything to do with the match, or if it did, that was a way of them writing it off.
It was that flying kick off the top rope. You saw him, grab his leg. I noticed it when it happened.
I heard about it, and then I watched it today, and it was worse than I imagined it in my head. That's how bad it was.
Ooh.
And that's the type of thing. That's the type of thing that would happen to me if I'm like saying to a buddy of mine that doesn't watch wrestling, I'm like, hey, we're going to go to my friend's house. We're going to watch this wrestling pay-per-view. Don't worry. You'll have a good time.
Yeah.
And then that shit comes on. And you're like, dude, it's not always like this. No, dude.
The fact that the first two matches were really good would be like, okay, yeah, WWE's working with me. It's bringing a good product. We're going to convert the non-believers. And then this happens.
I find it to be infuriating, insulting, and I fucking hated it. And I don't care if I get painted out to be some smark who thinks that they know better than WWE, and everybody's got to be like, well, they got to take the money, it's, there's kids watching too. It's like, well, fuck that. I don't have to like it. That doesn't mean I have to like it. Like, there's other entertainment out there that I don't have to like.
True story.
You know what I mean? So fuck that, and fuck WWE for putting it on. It was fucking terrible.
Go ahead, Two Beer.
Yeah, they make record profits, every quarter, and they don't need the money that bad. But my son did like it. He thought it was cool. But I think to Bill's point, there was a much better way to do it. You have the zombies, but you don't have to have Miz and Morrison act scared like they're real zombies. Like, you just have the zombies be tough zombies, and everybody comes out, you throw them back in. It's like,
so Dexter liked it though.
At least been better.
He was into it.
He did. And it was just so stupid when Morrison comes back out and starts doing wrestling moves on the zombies. And, it was just dumb. But obviously, we're not the target audience. But it definitely, in a way, you can kind of compare it to the that AEW pay-per-view, where even though that was like an accident, the kind of that fucked up, put a sour taste in people's mouth about an overall really good pay-per-view. Same kind of situation, except this is actually what they had planned.
Yeah, this was a choice.
Yeah, this was a choice, and it put a sour taste in people's mouths about an otherwise really good pay-per-view.
Go ahead, Jason.
No, I agree with what you're saying. It's hard to, if you're Vince and here comes this movie producing company, we want to give you 7-8 figures to help us promote this movie. Obviously, we have the Dave Bautista tie. Can you help us promote this movie? Of course, Dave Bautista is a part of this movie. We're going to make this happen. I guess this is where, just for me personally, I don't like horror movies too much. To me, was the double whammy. But it's kind of like you guys said, we could have done this better. This didn't have to be on a pay-per-view. That's what I think the biggest, what the fuck problem with this whole thing is. 3 hours still on Raw. Thank you. Yeah. How many bullshit segments have we seen on Raw just in the last
fucking Kofi month? Wrestled 2 matches on Raw.
You can.
It's not like they're hurting for guys.
You can't tell me. And this was just my thought on it. This could have been a 24/7 segment where you could have did zombies chasing Truth and or fill in the blank guy of choice.
I think a 24/7 segment would have been a lot better than Damian Priest and The Miz, who was your champion not that long ago.
Right.
By the way, The Miz has had probably the strangest 2021 of anybody that could be out there. Money in the Bank winner, champion for a little while, Bad Bunny, zombies, now he's shoot hurt. It's fucking weird.
God damn, wrestling's weird.
It's fucking
This is
weird.
like first big injury of his career, too.
Yeah.
He's never been hurt.
No, he's never hurt anybody. He's never been hurt. So
He doesn't work a style where he could get hurt.
no, and you know, if the God bless him for it.
Yeah,
on
but
both
anything can
sides.
happen.
Yeah, but it happened. It sucked that it happened. I think ultimately people are gonna miss Miz in the sense of talking segments because that's where you really excelled.
He ain't going nowhere. He will be on TV. He might take a month off. He's going to be on TV every week.
Then let him come back to TV, and we'll cross that bridge when we get
Where are
there.
they going to fill up with on Raw? They're going to have another Kofi match?
I'm just saying, there's gonna be there will be ways to fill this storyline up. Whether it's Kofi's gonna be running the gauntlet for a little bit, whether Miz wants to even come back. Because I mean, hell, you know, this might be really, you know, mentally damaging to Miz, where he has to come back, but he can't do what he really loves, and that's being in the ring. I can see him being a team player. If Vince said, you know, we need you to come back, he would come back. Ultimately, like I said, this was just you could have did this a better way to do it. To me, Monday Night Raw was the perfect time, the perfect place where you could have just extended this for over 3 hours, where you could have had multiple segments. I mean, damn, you know, Raw is a fucking variety show anyway, so why not throw that shit in there? Like I said, to me, this was more bait and switch. I'm looking for lumberjacks. I'm looking to see people. The match that they had Monday night was the match I was expecting to see Sunday night.
Okay, and the last thing that we should mention, I mentioned the Mysterios winning before. They are the first father-son combo to ever hold WWE Tag Team belts. I think that's pretty cool. I thought it was a nice moment. I'm not real sure what to make of Dominic yet. I do kind of, when I watch him, I do kind of judge him like on the Bad Bunny scale. Like he's not really a wrestler yet, but I mean, does he do it for you?
I don't think he does it for me, but I think to even compare him to Bad Bunny is, you know, a little insulting to Dominic Mysterio.
I guess on the celebrity scale is the way that I judge him. Like, I don't look at him like a real wrestler. I look at him like a moonlighter. I know he's going to be around forever, but I do look at him like he's really young and like he's not asked to do that much.
Which is perfect.
I actually kind of compare him to a young Rocky Maivia in the sense that he's pushed real hard as soon as he gets in. And he was in main event angles, you know, with Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy and those guys.
He fought Rollins at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and, you know, there's been some terrible shit. Like, those angles were just dreadful. I mean, supposedly Ray lost an eye, you know, like, I mean, for fuck's sake.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why.
So, you know, people hated Rocky Maivia for a long time. Rocky,
sure.
die, right?
For sure.
Third generation wrestler. You know, there's a lot of parallels there. But
I'm still waiting to see how it pans out with him.
You should.
No, I mean with Rocky Maivia. We'll see.
He might be okay.
We'll see how it goes.
President in 2032.
Yeah, right.
Jury's still out.
I saw it on Hulu.
They say that presidential run is what we're always talking about. I'm giving Dominic a pass just in this sense where
I didn't say I didn't like him,
but I think it's too early to give a judge either way. Like Zach said, they pushed him really hard to start, and that I don't think necessarily was the smartest move. So they kind of, you know, taking the gas off a little bit, you know, taking Mom and Leo away.
He's 24.
There's plenty of time for him to.
He's half the age of half the guys on the roster. Like 24 is young. Like there's guys in NXT that are pushing 40, and apparently they're not ready for the main roster. But
right.
He's a baby.
Bronson Reed's been wrestling 14 years. That was storyline. 14 years, and they act like he's some kind of spring chicken that's just coming up. He's been wrestling for 14 years.
I mean, 24 is the same age as Ibushi, right? I mean, Ibushi looks really young.
I was about to say, we might have.
Who looks younger, Ibushi or Dominic? They both look very young.
Ibushi. I was about to say.
Fuck, Ray look younger than Dominic.
That'll close the book on WrestleMania Backlash. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
Ibushi never ages.
2 beer. What's the 2 count? Anything you want.
Let's go with big news with the kind of very good for business, not just AEW business, but good for the wrestling business. AEW got a bunch more money, undisclosed as of yet. I don't know if the Observer came out yet today. I didn't get a chance to read it. I'm moving in like 20-something days, so I was packing all day. But they got a bunch more money because they are being shifted from TNT to TBS. And then they also have a Friday night show that's being added called Rampage, and that will be a 1-hour show that Tony Khan describes as another A show, not a B show, but a 1-hour show, with top stars. And this is good for the wrestling business because now AEW is all that much more financially soluble. They can sign more top stars if they want to without breaking the bank, without any kind of like deficit spending. We get another hour of AEW, which is a great wrestling program. And, it also kind of, we have those dark elevation, which kind of puts them at having a shitload of product, right? But I'm a big AEW fan, and I'll throw on dark elevation, but I ain't watching that shit every week. It's fucking hard to watch Dynamite every week. I mean, people got shit going on in their lives. It's hard to keep up with wrestling, but I think this is cool. Do we think there's going to be some changes? It's just interesting. There's definitely moves being made with Turner Media, and there's mergers with Discovery and AT&T, which is Turner Warner Media. We're gonna also get, I did not mention, we're gonna get 4 kind of Clash of Champions style shows. So now we're moving from 4 pay-per-views to kind of 8 pay-per-views, which is cool because we have these big Dynamite shows, but now we're essentially going to be on an 8 pay-per-view schedule, which is very cool because it allows for you to build towards more stories. And they do long-term storytelling, but sometimes there's those large gaps in between these big pay-per-views, and it can get not tired, but it's hard to stretch that stuff out. HBO Max is in that mix, as far as Warner Media and stuff. Do we see pay-per-views moving from Bleacher Report to HBO Max? Is HBO Max going to throw a bunch of money at AEW because everybody's overspending for content right now? Are they going to give AEW $100 million for their fucking archive? You know what I mean? There's a lot going on, and we can talk about the Dynamite show and stuff, which was a good episode, but it was not a marquee episode or anything, just kind of continuation of storyline with some great promos and some good wrestling. But I don't know. It's a wild time. We're always saying this, but it's a wild time to be alive, and it's a wild time to be a wrestling fan.
What do you think, Jason?
I think Tony Khan is trying to make my fucking life absolutely goddamn miserable. How many more fucking hours of wrestling can I pack into a fucking week? No, all jokes aside. On the AEW side, obviously, this is really good news in the sense of they're getting that 3rd hour of programming that they were looking forward to. Apparently, TNT had come to Tony Khan and wanted to do a 3rd hour of Dynamite, and Tony Khan said no, he'd rather do a separate hour of...
Great call by Tony Khan.
Yeah, I was listening to the interview this afternoon that he did. I guess this was yesterday. He's on a different podcast every Wednesday or whatever, and I figured it. I would listen to yesterday's, and because that was the breaking news that he had on said podcast that they were going to have this 3rd hour. And
he does a podcast every Wednesday?
He comes on a podcast every Wednesday at a set time. and they interview him. So he basically kind of like previews Dynamite, and then he throws out.
So we couldn't get him on a Wednesday.
Probably not. I was getting ready to say.
You think he'd come here to South City and sit here with you and me,
dude? Okay.
As we bang smoke, as we bang heaters and
A,
do
he's
shots.
paid like nobody's business. B, I mean, what the fuck else is he going to do on a Thursday? I mean, as it stands right now, AEW doesn't have any programming on Thursdays. And C, more importantly,
he only runs 3 companies.
But more importantly, I mean, God forbid, look, I know he's got shit to do, but the great part about 2021 is technology is a beautiful thing. You ain't got to move. Tony Khan, your invite is here whenever you so desire, my brother, okay? You are here.
Fly us out to Daly's place. We'll come down.
No, I was about to say,
we'll
whenever,
take time out of our busy schedule.
whenever you have the time to, make 3 tickets to Jacksonville, we can do that too. So it shouldn't even be an issue. So like I said, at the end of the day, I don't think this is necessarily a big deal in the sense of wrestling wise, and more wrestling is better. I think the biggest thing that he said to me was what I was waiting for was this new Rampage show that's going to come out in August, and Dynamite were the core programming. So I mean, this is the top billing. So essentially, this is your SmackDown to Raw in the sense of WWE, if you want to go with that. That's kind of what I've been waiting for. You have these 2 other shows on YouTube, Elevation and Dark are good, but they're developmental shows. There's only so much you can watch, and then it starts to get a little repetitive.
Dark is just like a bunch of developmental guys and Joey Janela.
And God bless them all for it. You know what I'm saying? There's guys that have...
His girlfriend needs a job.
Okay, see, there's guys that can come through, guys and girls that can come through there. Red Velvet, God bless her. She had a great match against Serena Deeb. She came through the Dark program or whatever you want to call it. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's worthless. But for me personally, there are people, guys and girls, that need time on regular TV or big TV, whatever you want to call it, major cable programming. People are saying that TBS is a downgrade. TBS is not a downgrade, okay? If you just take your time...
It's the fucking same.
Okay, if you just take the time to look at it...
Who cares? People are saying that?
People actually care about this shit.
Jesus
This
Christ.
is actually an upgrade. They got paid more money to do it. They're changing channels, not changing days. Who cares what fucking channel it's on? It's on the same fucking day.
Raw used to be on the Nashville network.
Okay.
In like 2001.
It was on Spike TV at one point. So, I mean, people...
SmackDown was on UPN.
Okay, thank you. So there's, I love the revisionist history by some. The bottom line is this is a major upgrade for AEW in the sense that they're going, like Zach said, they're going to get more money to make this move. It's not like sports is going to take a break. And I think this is part of that driving force is when NBC decided they're going to drop their sports network. Now you got places where you're going to have to put these sports programming on. And TNT is basketball. Like it or not, that's the home for NBA basketball on certain nights. So I'd rather them do this now, and instead of not saying that this is a bad thing, but this just is what it is. Next week, we won't have a Wednesday Dynamite. We'll have a Friday Dynamite because the playoffs have started. Look, as a sports guy, I love that shit, but if you keep fucking around with the hardcore base, we're going to move it this night, we're going to move it that night, that's just asking too much. They're going to keep it on Wednesdays.
Nothing's better than the NBA playoffs. Listen, bottom line, Tony Khan, come on, BFR. Let's spin this into a Wednesday night Dynamite conversation. Wednesday Night Dynamite, as Zach said, furthered storylines. It was a really promo-heavy episode of Dynamite, which they don't really do that often, and it was worthwhile to watch, I thought. We started off with Christian versus Matt Sydal. Good match. Couple of pros going at it. Christian goes over. There was never going to be any doubt about that. Nobody thought that Matt Sydal was going to beat Christian. Team Taz comes out. Adam Page comes out to save Christian from Team Taz, and this is when my head started spinning because then I was like, wait a minute. AEW has 2 guys named Cage and 2 guys named Page.
Get your name tags ready.
Now they have Rampage.
Okay, I was getting ready to say, Bill won't be able to tell these jokers apart within 6 weeks.
No.
I did
That's
love
good.
that he handed Ricky Starks his drink to
I
go
did.
make the
Yes,
save.
that was great.
Hold my drink. I'll be right back. I'm like, God damn it.
That was great. I loved it. Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Oh, I don't know. Do you guys want to say anything else about that segment?
No, it's fine.
No, just real quick. Ricky Starks out with injury. That's why he didn't participate in the beatdown. Apparently, he has a small fracture in his neck, so look for him to be out for quite some time. Speedy recovery for Ricky Starks as well.
Moxley and Eddie Kingston, they're a known quantity at this point. Of not much to say about them. What do you think about the Acclaimed? What do you think about Max Caster coming out and freestyling? It's got some John Cena vibes, doesn't it?
Totally.
It's got legs, though, because he's so talented that it really pops me. And, like, I love whenever who's the other guy?
Anthony Bowens.
I love when Anthony Bowens like cuts him off before he says a swear word. And I love this week whenever he gave that bit because like Renee's podcast is called the Oral Sessions, and he rapped about Renee giving him oral, and Moxley just punches Anthony Bowens right in the fucking face.
Yes. Yeah. Is that really Renee Young? Renee Paquette's? That's the name of her podcast is Oral Sessions?
Yep.
Is it ORAL or AURAL?
No, it is ORAL.
It's called Oral Sessions.
Wrap your head around that.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, because when he came out, I didn't know that that's what it was called. When he came out and said that, I was like, man, if I was Moxley, I'd fucking smoke this dude.
Ding! And that's why the Acclaimed worked. Okay, see, motherfuckers are like, Max Caster can't rap. He ain't supposed to rap, you idiots.
It's got nothing to do with whether or not he can rap. It has to do with whether or not this is getting over, right? That's all that matters. I watched the Dark Side of the Ring today about Brawl for All, and the thing about Brawl for All is that JR says nobody got over. Nobody got over. That's the most important thing. Every single segment should have somebody getting over, and I'm not saying that the Acclaimed can't get over. That's not my thing.
I think they're over.
Well, we got to wait till fans are there, I guess. I mean, right? But
okay, fair. That's fair.
But it doesn't pop me. I know it pops Zach because
I think it's
AEW.
Comedy fucking Central. I'm sorry. I'll look for the only reason I kind of watch Dark and Dark Elevation is to see the next coming of the superstar. And I miss the Acclaimed, and it kind of bothers me. It's like my Moby Dick of not watching enough wrestling. You might miss the Acclaimed, you might miss this, you might miss that. So for me,
they're your white whale
on multiple levels.
They weren't a team to begin with. They both did tryouts, and Tony Khan put them together, which was genius. He's a great booker. He's got good mind for this. And
that's weird that he put them together. Like, what do they have in common?
They like rap music?
That could be it.
No, actually, like I said, all bullshit aside, I like the Acclaimed. It's one of those times where the mismatch of singles guys work, and it works really well because they play off, like Zach said, they play off each other so well. And they're really good in the ring.
I'm a fan of both those guys in the ring for sure. I mean, I'll let it play out. Like, I know this is a thing that like introduce a character. It just shouldn't be around that much longer. I don't think.
The Acclaim's not going anywhere.
No, I don't think the Acclaim's going anywhere.
Okay.
I think maybe the freestyling or whatever they fucking call it.
Nope, that ain't going anywhere either.
Okay, we have Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, who's Diamond Dallas Page's son. No? They come out and they talk a bunch of shit. I love both these guys. I love them as a team. I love both their promo styles. You know how I always talk about how there are guys that come out and they cut these promos that it's like they're on Tough Enough and they're like, or not Tough. Was it?
No, Tough Enough.
Yeah, Tough Enough. It's like they're on Tough Enough and they're like trying to sound like a wrestler. Right. Neither one of these guys sounds like they're doing an impression of a wrestler. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page both cut promos the other night that I really liked with Shivani in the ring with them. And, well, Ethan Page ushered Shivani out.
I got this from here. I'll double down on that, and it made me want to find any Ethan Page and Darby Allin matches from the past to kind of, okay, he's saying this, so let me see this. Let me see where this buildup has happened, because obviously a lot of this has happened on the indie scene, which is great. But now, if we're talking about it, let me see how, somebody's head got dented in, or, somebody else got thrown down the stairs. Stuff like that.
Very effective promo. What you think about it, Zach? And what do you think about them saying that Sting's at Double or Nothing, it's not going to be a cinematic match. It is going to, like, Excalibur
it's going to be a
said
live match.
It's going to be a live match. It's going to be his first match in the ring, I think, since Seth Rollins, since he got hurt in that Seth Rollins match.
They said a number of years, but I can't remember.
Probably 6 years.
I think it was 6.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, Darby's going to work most of that match. I imagine Darby's going to sell like Darby sells, which is great, and be that scrappy underdog, and then he'll get the hot tag on Sting. He'll do some Stinger splashes and a Scorpion Deathlock or a Death Drop, and that'll be that, and it'll pop a big live crowd. So I'm not too worried about it in that regard. If that's the way that they set it up, I mean, that's what I would do. So I think it could be cool.
My only problem with this segment is Dark Order came out at the end. It's
what?
like,
yeah, what? Why? Okay,
I know
Did
that I know they have kind of a storyline going on with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, but I don't remember what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just
dude,
like
you stole my thunder. You stole my thunder.
It's just like, why is Dark Order
out here?
Are they listening to our podcast and they're trying to fucking troll me? Is that what they're doing?
They're totally trolling you, because I said the same thing.
Because there's so many of them.
It's not even that. It was now.
It's part of that.
It's now why? Why are you out here? Clearly, this thing is handled and the heels are on the run. And now here comes the Dark Order. Look, I get it. There's not really a direction for it, but I mean, that doesn't mean you throw them out there just for shits and giggles.
There's no reason to put them out there just to get them on TV.
You got Dark and Dark Elevation. Figure it out.
Sheeta beats Rebel / Reba, whatever. It was a good way to put heat on Britt Baker, who I think is going to take the belt.
Shit, she guaranteed it. It's going down.
We had Kenny Omega and Don Callis go visit Orange Cassidy while he was getting worked on medically, which I thought was a fine segment. Anything that you have to say about either one of those segments?
What was Don Callis' line? He murdered me with it. I'm trying to remember. He said something that was just like, he like joked about concussions, which is fucked up. He's like, sleep it off. He's like, maybe in your state, like, don't.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
He did say that shit. I was like, ooh, yeah, you don't sleep when you have a concussion. You got to keep that shit awake. No problem with Britt Baker. I get the match. It, obviously short for a reason, but it sets up, obviously, Double or Nothing. I'm on the Britt Baker bandwagon.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I think it's just
She
time
just
for her
had
to
the
be,
belt for a long time.
It's just time for her to be champ. Now, the opposite segment, it kind of is what it is, man. I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with it at the end of the day. Both segments set up something else. So, I mean, like it or not, take it in a vacuum, but they set up something else. And it's kind of like what you said, Bill. This was a promo-heavy Dynamite, which is very rare.
Pretty rare.
But it sets up other things. It's basically setting up for Double or Nothing. This is the build for Double or Nothing.
I mean, next up we had the Inner Circle promo, which is, I don't want to dismiss it because it was good. Of course it was good. It was Chris Jericho. Sammy Guevara is really coming into his own. We say it every single fucking week. It was a really good. Of course they were going to say yes to the Stadium Stampede. It also makes sense that they're not going to do a Stadium Stampede match and a cinematic Sting match, and that makes sense to me, especially because
it's got to be one or the other. It can't be both.
Especially in front of a live crowd, which is what it is now. There's nothing.
It's absolutely. I love the vibe that they're putting out. That we're not joking around. So we're going to get a very different Stadium Stampede match.
Oh,
the
yeah,
last
for
one
sure.
was hilarious. This time they're going to beat the shit out of each other.
Serena Deeb retains the title, the NWA title against Red Velvet, in what was a really good, it was a really good match, really good TV match. What's a Go-Go's?
Red Velvet over-delivers every time I see her. I think in a few years she's going to be a big star.
I wish I had a button that said "Horny Police."
I'm sure we can find it. No, I agree.
You can go to horny jail.
I'm sure we can find. No, that's not what I was going to say. I agree with Zach.
Are you the boner police? Because I need a lawyer.
See, this motherfucker here. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Red Velvet. Yeah, I agree with Red Velvet. At some point, especially if they're going to keep this partnership, and Tony Khan don't say partnership. It's more like, this working relationship with the NWA, with Impact. Now you have, obviously, AEW. I'll just take those three. If you can just keep that with the women's division, now you can, bring in Camille if you want to. You can have a Jade Cargill and Camille match for the NWA title.
I want to see Serena Deeb versus Jade Cargill. I think Serena Deeb fucking rules, man.
I agree with that. The only thing I will say about that, for me, that stands as heel versus heel. Not saying that they can't do it, but Serena Deeb was very heelish at best, if not. She didn't kind of flip heel in that Red Velvet match.
A Go-Go squashes Austin Gunn, which is probably what should be happening here. They are building up a Go-Go to go against Cody Rhodes. We'll have our predictions next week. I like a Go-Go a lot. I like that his finishing move is basically
It's boxer related.
Yes, it is. I got Brawl for All on the brain after I just watched it today. But I'm a fan of a Go-Go, and I think that he's going to be the guy, and not just because they're pushing him. I think that we're going to look back on this in a few years, it's going to be like, oh, remember when he was with QT Marshall?
Right.
And you're going to be like, who? It's going to be like, oh, that guy, he's working the fry side at Chili's down the street.
No, you don't. Stop.
He's working the roller grill.
At the airport.
Man, put that respect on that man's name. Stop.
Cody's buddy? Put some respect on his name.
He's talented, man. I like him.
He's fine.
Can we not give him credit for at least training guys and girls?
Can I not make fun of people on my own goddamn podcast?
He's heating up.
Not balding middle-aged men, because it's my demographic.
There we go.
Ooh, okay, damn. I really got a problem.
Christopher Daniels looks like he is done. I mean, they made it look like he is done, which always go out on your back. Mad respect to Christopher Daniels.
What a guy.
Such a talent, and one of the biggest talents that never signed with WWE, really. I mean, he was a big deal.
Totally, I agree with that.
Frankie Kazarian cut a promo after that, making it seem like he's a singles wrestler, which I like Kaz a lot, too.
Just quick sidebar for 30 seconds. I know that Bullet Club, the Elite, whatever you want to call them, Kenny Omega and the boys are going to be running rampant with title reigns or whatever. With Kaz saying what he said in this promo, I wouldn't be surprised somewhere down the line when the Bucks lose, when Kenny Omega loses, Kaz isn't somewhere in that mix, kind of helping it along. Might not be the finish of the match, but sets up the finish for the match. Because basically what he's saying is that now his sole goal moving forward is to make their lives absolutely miserable.
I think that's the best place for Kazarian. I mean, I don't know where you put him. Like Kazarian's he's a tough case because he's never been a top guy anywhere he's ever been.
But he can work so well.
He's so well respected within the business. He's a big-time tag wrestler. He's been in tag teams. I just don't know what you do with him. And I think just being kind of to use your phrase, the fly in the ointment for the Elite,
this is basically
I think it's a pretty good place.
If there was another singles title, then maybe that would be it.
Looks like we're getting Miro Lance Archer, which is...
Fuck.
You like that, don't you?
I do, but I don't.
Why not?
Because somebody's got to lose.
I want to see Lance Archer lose.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's got to lose. And for me, you got two of the premier big guys in the company. I don't want to see one lose so the other can get over. Does it make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. Miro's promo, I thought, was on the money. I like this. This is the Miro I've been waiting for since he came over. This arcade thing was a good start, but this is the Miro I was looking for. Lance Archer fires back. So you got two big-ass bulls in the ring.
Can I fancy book something for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
A best-of-7 series.
Dude, don't even start.
Wouldn't that be the best thing for these two guys?
It would get both guys over.
It would get them both over.
And then
it did it for Cesaro and Sheamus. This is the last time we saw one.
Yeah.
And it did it for both of them.
Yeah. They became the bar, and then you kind of run it from there. I wouldn't have a problem with a best of 7. You just don't see it that much anymore.
Zach, what do you think? Should I book the territory?
I mean, that would be cool to watch. Definitely. But I think kind of Lance Archer, maybe not going on a losing streak, but maybe just kind of having like a little confidence shaken, you know what I mean?
Yeah, losing streaks are also good
if you play it right.
If you play it right and you make it part of a story.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. Like I said, to me, this is going to be one of those matches to look forward to. If you can extend it some kind of way and have it run it back and then have Miro win it, then that's probably the best way you can go about it.
Last but not least, we got the Young Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes. The Young Bucks go over. Kingston and Moxley come out, and they steal the Young Bucks' shoes that they've been bragging about for a month. All I have to say about the segment is that... and they also announced Kingston and Moxley versus the Young Bucks for Double or Nothing, which is a match that is going to fucking rule. All I can say about this is that Eddie Kingston looked way more experienced at stealing shoes
why is
off
everybody saying that?
Somebody else say that?
I saw it on Twitter this afternoon. I'm like,
that motherfucker, he was just smiling. He was just taking them off.
He didn't even have to look. I know how this shit works. I'm going to look in the camera. I'm going to take these bad boys off.
Go ahead, Zach.
There's an Eddie Kingston outside of every bodega in New York City asking for a Newport.
That's exactly right. No, Eddie Kingston looks like a dude that would come into Jack Patrick's, the bar that I worked at forever. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
That would come in at 1:30, still wearing his back of house.
Can I get fill in the blank?
He'd be like Jameson, Stag. And then he'd stand there and he'd smoke a cigarette and you'd be like, dude, you can't smoke in here. He's like, seriously? For real?
Yeah, really? It's been a while.
All right, okay. Well,
it's been a little bit.
Can I keep my shit here?
I will say, I loved Brian Pillman Jr.'s promo at the beginning of the show, where he talked about the dark side of the ring and saying, people say that I'm only in this business because of my dad, and he's like, I was actually stayed away from this business because of my dad, and the Young Bucks got me into this business because they were stand-up guys, and then they worked so well with these guys. Like, I'm going to double down on my take from last week. The Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world, like best tag team ever, because they make everybody look like $1 million.
Man, I respect the fuck out of that, Zach.
God bless you.
I really do respect the fuck out of that.
Just come to the hole. Fuck what everybody else says. You wrong, but just go to the hole anyway.
Chris Garrison and Brian Pillman are good, but they made them look great, and they worked such an old school heel match. It was not like a flashy Young Bucks thing. They went in there and they were the Midnight Express. You know what I mean? It was awesome.
No, it was a cool match.
Just quick sidebar for 30 seconds because I know we're going to move on. Kenny Omega matches to look forward to. Andrade.
I was going to bring it up. I was going to bring it up later. I was going to bring it up in odds and ends. Yes, Kenny Omega is fighting. He is defending his AAA, what do they call it, the Mega Championship?
AAA Mega Championship.
Against Andrade, who is now El Elito?
He was always that, but I mean, this was
Is that what it is, though?
I'm sure I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but I think it's El Elito as well, but that was what he was before. No, but that Brada is also
that match isn't happening till August.
That's fine, too. What I was also going to say was when Moose won the number one contenders match at Under Siege on Sunday, Moose is going to be a part of this mix too. So I know that Roman Reigns is, at least for me, that top guy, and his storyline has kind of really fixated me. Kenny Omega now is really starting to, this is the great part about everybody working together, because now you have a number one contender here. You got a number one contender here. He's got this, triple threat match
starting to play
here.
itself out.
So now it's starting to play itself out to where now it's going to really, if they play it right, all ties rise the boats. So now as long as everybody plays nice, this could really be an interesting summer for non-WWE wrestling.
Especially if, like, Andrade wins, and then they can bring Andrade into AEW. Now we're really onto something.
Or
Zach,
if he goes to New Japan or whatever. There's plenty of things to go with.
Zach, any thoughts about that before we get to the recount?
I'm just looking forward to it. Like, I think Kenny Omega is going to be working he'll be like Adam Cole was over that Survivor Series weekend, but he's going to do it for like the whole summer.
All right.
And there's also the business now, and
Daniel Bryan could be one if they signed his ass.
That's right.
Will Ospreay could be if he wasn't banged up.
1, 2, 3.
All right, the 3 count is going to be the passing of New Jack. His real name was Jerome Young, I believe. He was 58 years old. He passed away of a heart attack last Friday. New Jack is somebody whose name has never been brought up on this podcast, I don't think. I don't think we've ever talked about him. He is kind of an
death match, if that.
He's an ECW legend. He was a black dude. Who came from, well, shit, I don't even remember where he came from. L.A., maybe? Or Atlanta?
He came from LA.
Atlanta.
Or, yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, you're right.
He modeled himself off of South Central L.A.
Right. He was I don't know what you would say, a deathmatch aficionado. He was an ECW guy. He was made by Paul Heyman. He started off in the Smoky Mountain Wrestling with Jim Cornette. And this dude was a straight-up psycho. Listen, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, and I know that he just passed away, and I know that there's been a lot of nice things said about New Jack in the last week. I searched him on Twitter today after I watched The Dark Side of the Ring with him again for the second time. The first time I watched it, I was a little lit up, which is usually when I watch wrestling stuff, because let's face it, I mean, wrestling sucks. But I was watching it, and I was amazed at how cavalier this motherfucker was about the dangerous spots that he put his opponents in, and how nice of things guys like Mick Foley, guys like D'Lo Brown, guys like Lance Storm, everybody put respect on this guy's name. This is a guy that when Jay Grimes didn't want to go off that spot because he said it was too high,
he threw him off anyway.
He pulled him off of it. This is a guy that, because he pulled him off of it and because he cracked his skull, the year later, he threw him off the scaffolding. The guy almost fucking died, and New Jack said, I was trying to throw him out of the ring. I mean, he fucking said that shit. This is a guy that when his opponent, Hunter Red, wouldn't try to map out the match with him, he ended up stabbing him 9 times in the back.
One guy wanted to get his shit over, and New Jack was like, "Nah."
Well, then you're talking about the mass transit incident, and the mass transit incident is the thing that every wrestling fan, probably every smart at least, knows what the mass transit incident is. I did not know it until I'd always heard about the mass transit incident. It's when he took this 17-year-old kid who said he was 21. The guy was very large. Probably 320, 350 pounds. Which, by the way, mass transit's a great name for a big old fat guy.
If I'd have looked at him, I would have been like, yeah, he's 21. Go ahead.
But apparently mass transit comes up to New Jack before the show. This is probably like 97, and says, hey, I want to get some offense in. And New Jack's like, no, fuck you. You ain't getting no offense in. And then he fucked him up. And when the blade wasn't working, he pulled out basically an X-Acto knife and sliced him across the forehead, cutting open his I mean,
It's basically his forehead open.
Basically, you could see the skull.
Yeah.
And he fucked him up. Now, he was also a tremendous promo. Like a legit...
You couldn't get away with this shit in 2021.
I mean, being down in the Smoky Mountain Wrestling and saying, here's a message to my man OJ, keep up the good work. There's 2 more we don't have to worry about. Whew, that is good.
That's mouth dropping. I mean, I've said some shit. I've said some shit that I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. 5 seconds after the fact, maybe that was wrong.
This is a guy I'd always heard about in college from my man Cam Bigelow. He used to talk about him because Cam. Shout out to Cam Mingle. He knew what ECW was more than I did. But when you watch that, and listen, as a guy that's not in the business, it's not really for me to say, but it is kind of shocking to see all these people come out and talk about how great he was when really he, like, the core of professional wrestling that you would think is... You got to take care of the other guy. You can't do anything that the other guy didn't know was coming, And he really did not do that at all. Like, he fucked dudes up. And that little person that's in that dark side of the ring.
I can't think of his name off
Tiny the Terrible.
Yeah, that good call.
He said no. He fucking ruined people's life. He knew what he did. And and New Jack was not remorseful at all. At all.
No. God bless him. I mean, I'm not that dude. Okay,
I'm not that dude either. What do you think?
I'll just say this, and then I'll pass it to Zach. I'm not a huge fan of death matches, so I really wasn't a New Jack guy.
Me neither.
And that to me kind of leads us into ECW. So I wasn't really an ECW kind of guy. The fact that New Jack excelled there is kudos to him. The fact that you can say stuff like he said, I mean, he knew how to draw heat. D'Lo Brown said something on that Dark Side of the Ring, which kind of still plays to this day. He had to take the beatings for the tag team so the tag team could keep heat. And I think some of that is kind of missed still to this day. We see it, but we take it for granted. We just kind of like, blah, blah, blah. So when him saying that, I was like, oh, damn, that kind of makes sense too. I'll just say this. For being as coked out as he was.
That's sorry to cut you off, but that's the other thing. Like, there's a big stigma against going in the ring when you are fucked up. Now, that might be a little different from Godfather going in there high. But going
totally
in
different. But to me, it's totally different.
Yeah, because Godfather said he smoked all day, every day. And I know stoners, some of them might be in this room.
Hi, my name's Jason Bell.
But that is completely different than being than doing a bunch of coke and then going out there. Especially, I'm telling you, if you're listening to my voice right now, you don't know what I'm talking about. On Hulu, you can watch Dark Side of the Ring. Watch the New Jack episode and watch the bumps that he throws Jay Grimes off scaffolding and tried to kill him.
To the point where it was like you want somebody
to stun gunned him before he did it.
Yes, he also tased him. Yes.
So he bought a taser, so he tased him so that he couldn't move, and then he threw him off.
I'm sorry, fuck New Jack. I mean, seriously, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, and I'm not a wrestler, but Jesus fucking Christ, what are we doing?
I will say fuck New Jack, but at the same time, that dude was incredibly avant-garde and incredibly creative. And, I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, it's weird because you see, Lance Storm, which I can't imagine two more separate people than Lance Storm and New Jack, right?
That's so about that.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah. But it's just it's so weird to see people praise him instead of just kind of praising the work. And he was a total definition of living the gimmick, right?
Dude, you ain't ever lied. I mean, god damn. At a certain point, I get it. You want to try to keep wrestling as kayfabe as possible. But this motherfucker, the guy you were talking about, throwing off the scaffold, when you watch that shit, I mean, he's barely hitting on the way down. And that's not the way it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to at least have him hit, in the middle, and then, if he starts to go the opposite way.
No,
so
there were tables.
It.
He was supposed to hit the tables.
Know. That's what I'm saying. When he threw him off the scaffold, you want him to hit the table somewhere in the middle. He was literally like throwing him off to be like, bye, motherfucker.
New Jack's quote on that, because I just watched it today, was Jay Grimes, after he tased him a bunch of times, Jay Grimes says, I can't feel my legs. And New Jack said, you ain't going to need them. Bombs away, and then threw that motherfucker.
And he said, he's like, I was trying to throw him outside the ring.
I was trying to throw him outside the ring.
You talking about the mass transit incident with, I watched ECW. It was on Charter at my grandparents' house. I was like the perfect age. 1996. I was 11 years old. The heyday of this.
You ain't supposed to be watching that shit at 11.
Dude, in the 90s, I was in love. I watched as much ECW as I can. I never got any of those pay-per-views except on tape, afterwards and stuff. But, because, my parents were not going to buy me that. They'd buy me in your house, but they wouldn't buy me, that shit. But, I was fucking in love with ECW whenever I was, a preteen, early teen. And, I just remember being, scared to death of, some of these guys. And... the mass transit incident, I watched that, later on, through YouTube videos and stuff, and, there was blood squirting out of this guy's head. And he straight up said, he's like, I wasn't trying to kill him. He's like, but I wanted him close to death.
See, that's crazy to talk to me. I can't understand that shit. I'm all about being serious. I'm all about being entertained, but I don't want anybody's fucking forehead to be ripped open for my personal entertainment.
that Dark Side of the Ring, I winced. I watched Jackass. I watched every single Jackass.
Have you seen the Nick Gage episode yet?
No, but Ham told me about it. Yeah, I watched.
Shit.
Listen, I watched every single Jackass.
Is good enough for me.
I used to watch Faces of Death in high school and shit like that.
Me too.
But now, as a 41-year-old dude watching that shit, especially with the old guy,
I catch myself kind of like, ooh, wait
Zach,
now.
Zach, what was the old guy's name on that episode? It was Joe the Gypsy or something, or Gypsy Joe.
Oh yeah,
Gypsy Joe.
Yeah, Gypsy Joe, the 72-year-old guy that he just literally took a barbed wire bat and smoked him in the head 3 times.
wasn't even pulling it back. Just smoked him in the head 3 times, man. It's just.
Innovator.
I guess what I'm saying is, R.I.P.
Innovator. Get in and outside of the ring, but just really not a good person.
I mean, listen, if he could have reined it back a little bit, and they talk about in that Dark Side of the Ring about what his childhood was like, and of course I am sympathetic to that, because when you are young like that, he said his dad died when he was 5, and he saw his dad stab his mom, his dad shot his mom, stuff like that. When you are when you see stuff like that, of course
you're gonna be a little messed up.
Oh yeah, like the pathways in your brain are going to be rerouted for other shit. But that doesn't excuse him from everything that he did. And if he could have reined it back a little bit, man, he would have been one of the biggest stars of all time. What a promo. What a fucking promo, dude.
To say that the shit about OJ when he said it, to me, is all you need to know about him promo-wise, where he'd have
fit right in on BFR.
Yeah, right. About to say we got to sit New Jack and Two Beer next.
I would prefer he be out in Edwardsville with you, to be honest.
Oh no!
I don't want him here.
He'll be fine here in South City. Out in Edwardsville, we'd have to have security going on.
I just don't want him in the same room as me, is what I'm saying. That motherfucker was crazy.
I'm not saying that. Look, I'll just say this. I would like to think that he's not going to put hands upon us. Now, that said, if you get thrown out the window, because me and him look like each other, so you getting thrown out the window.
I can barely tell you guys apart.
My forehead is probably the best way to tell us apart. You could probably make this landing and be okay. Maybe.
You know, one of the funniest tributes I saw, or one of the most noteworthy tributes I saw, was Mickey James who said, I was in a lot
about
of
New Jack?
Yeah, I was in a lot of locker rooms with New Jack, and he was never anything but very respectful and very nice to me. I loved him. He was so sweet. That's what Mickey James said. He was married
to Terry Ruddles. He married, like, Justin Ruddles' fucking ex-wife. Like,
whoa. Stop the tape.
Breaking news. Is this true?
We need to break.
Sure. I'm going to Google it right now, but I'm pretty sure he was married.
No. There is no. Actually,
100%.
There is a way because I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Man, when you look at Cody, you look at Terry. I guess Dusty used to watch Jungle Fever with those kids.
You stole my joke, motherfucker. You ain't shit.
Anyway, R.I.P. New Jack.
R.I.P. New Jack.
Can you imagine your wife leaving you for New Jack?
Hell no. Bitch, are you out your goddamn mind?
Yes,
no.
I can.
Oh, no, you better. Oh, shit. You better be throwing me off some shit.
I watched The Wire with my wife. I watched her look at Idris Elba. Fuck yeah, I could see her.
Idris Elba, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm going to say.
I can't tell them apart.
Look, you talking about the next, the possible next James Bond, quote unquote, versus the suicide, homicidal motherfucker that throws guys off a fucking scaffold.
I was thinking after last week when you guys both came to my house and you guys both get all banged up and I was completely normal, and I was thinking, did I say anything racist last night? And then I just said that I can't tell Idris Elba and New Jack apart. But I really can't.
You waited a week. It's okay.
But, it's the same thing with Dakota Kai and
Jesus
what's her face?
Oh,
all right. That'll do it for our 3 count.
Here you go. One's taller. The other one's shorter.
Hey, everybody. Time to talk about our sponsor, Soul Taco. Oh, wait. No, I just slipped into something. Let's get to...
This is Banned from Ringside.
Let's get to NXT Tuesday night, which was a pretty good show. I think it was a pretty good show. We had started off with Toni Storm versus Zoe Stark. I'm starting to see why NXT has so much faith in Zoe Stark. She has leaps and bounds. She has made strides in the last few weeks, and she's legit pretty good now. Toni Storm goes over. Frankie Monet comes out with her Pomeranian.
I don't know why that's funny.
William Regal always talks about how NXT has the best women's division in the world, and I think that he's right.
Stardom might have something to say about that, but I can't necessarily disagree with the fact that at least on North American soil, well, I shouldn't say that. I'll go with just United States soil. NXT has brought in their fair share of women. Obviously, there was a couple of NXT releases on that side. Vanessa Bourne and Brandy Lauren, I believe, were both released as of this week. But, those two are, I wouldn't say bottom of the barrel, but let's just call them lower tier talent. That said, I would take NXT's talent versus anybody else, whether it's WWE.
What do you think about Zoe Stark?
I think Zoe Stark is going to be the next coming. I would be surprised if I didn't see a Zoe Stark, Saray kind of not necessarily a feud, but like a title kind of chase.
There's a new blood down the line.
For sure. You have at least the modern, I shouldn't say the modern, but the current, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, Frankie Monet, Io. You have these women in the mix, but then, on deck, if I want to use a baseball reference, Zoe Stark is right there. She has all the talent in the world. NXT is not necessarily the ground for her to work on her promo skills, and she'll need that when she goes up to the main roster. But talent-wise, she's as good as anybody else is there.
I saw Bill's tweet before I saw this match because I didn't watch NXT until this morning. And he's like, what is Zoe Stark doing kicking out of Toni Storm's finisher on the opening match of a Tuesday night? And I saw it and I was like, oh, yeah. And then Toni Storm does this crazy new finisher.
Introduces a new finisher.
I got something for you.
I almost had, Zach, that's so funny that you said that. I almost deleted that tweet. I was like, holy shit, she just... I didn't wait to see to the end, but yeah, she introduced a new finisher,
which was hot. I
that
love
shit
it.
looked dangerous. Like, I don't know if it is because like the camera angle was kind of weird. So Kevin Dunn shit is like not the best for showing us what's actually happening. I am looking forward to seeing it again because it looks dangerous as fuck, and I'm hoping that it's not. I don't expect it to be. Because Toni Storm's like such a talent, and I can't see her out there trying to hurt ladies. But like, dude, that finisher looks devastating. Way better than her like pump handle power bomb.
Totally agree. We had some backstage segments with The Way, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell.
No. As the guy that has shitted on Dexter Lumis for about a month straight,
he wasn't in this.
Yeah, he was. He was there for like 30 seconds, even 30 seconds. He was one of the masseuses.
Indy Hartwell without consent, being a total creepo.
Listen, Zach, I played golf Tuesday with a couple of our mutual in-laws, Tim and Luke, and when I came back, I took a big rip of the vape, and then I just sat back and watched NXT for the next 2 hours. So I might have missed that part.
No, which under normal circumstances, if I would have done the same thing, I would have missed that too. But like Two Beers said, Dexter Lumis was getting the massage to Indy Hartwell, and Indy and Candice are kind of fuck Dexter Lumis like women should when the guy fucks him over. And then all of a sudden, I was wondering how it was going to happen, but you have the credit card being declined later on, in the NXT show. You have the credit card declined for Candice paying for this spa, and they were like, oh, why is this credit card declined? And then all of a sudden, you have this charge for flowers coming up, and then Indy Hartwell is... Go ahead.
I just got to say, this was the dumbest fucking shit ever. That's not how credit cards work. That's not how credit card companies work. Like, how fucking hard would it have been for like Indy to just find a receipt for a florist, right? Like,
Indy's not smart, man. Come on.
Or something. But like, they're basically telling us that we're not smart because we're supposed to believe that some spa worker called her credit card company and they divulged all of these details about a florist thing from 3 weeks ago. Like, what does she have, a credit limit of $75? She's a fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
It's like Midnight Run, where the guy calls up and cancels Robert De Niro's credit card.
Yeah,
he's just like, oh yeah, my name's...
Really good movie, but
I love that movie.
Yeah, R.I.P. Charles Grodin.
Also, like,
R.I.P. Charles Grodin.
I mean, like, dude, like, that just ain't how credit cards work, and they just insulted my intelligence. It was dumb. She could have just found a fucking receipt, like, or something. Like, I fucking hated it. And I liked the way...
Really? You hated this segment? Dude, I thought this segment was well played, just in the sense that...
I guess I missed it.
Just in the sense that it at least connects the dots. Okay, you can like it or not, and it's not a hill I'm going to die on by any stretch of the imagination. But, I mean, for at least NXT, you connect the dots. And that's really all I ask, okay? I'm not even a Dexter Lumis fan, but I want to see what happens next week. Or what,
I'll die on that hill. Like, I'll be a Japanese soldier, and you can plant the flag of Iwo Jima right through my fucking chest. This segment sucks.
He's heating up.
All righty,
he's
then.
right. Nah, he's right.
Okay, now look, it's hard to be right with two guys saying that they're wrong, but it's okay. Go ahead.
There was a Finn Balor carrying Cross promo segment because there's a match that's coming up next week where they're fighting for the belt. Paul Heyman says during this thing that Roman Reigns will be watching it. Do you think that's anything, or do you think that's a red herring, Zach?
I think it's just a way to put those guys over. I think it's just Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman and liking those guys and putting them over. Like, I mean, I'm sure like Roman's interested in the product. I don't necessarily think that Karrion Kross is going to come up and challenge Roman and take the title right away, but he does plant that seed, and that's why he's so good, and he normally does the spoilers, not predictions, and he called it Too Close to Call, and he sold me on this match more than anybody else.
I do want to say this because I forgot to say it during the 3 count, but Paul Heyman is just as much to blame for that mass transit incident as New Jack, because New Jack was supposed to fight somebody else who was out because of family issues, and then he put this new guy in there with New Jack, and New Jack says that he said to Heyman, they'll be talking about this in 10 years, and New Jack said,
he made sure of that.
We're also talking about in 20 years. I agree with Zach. I think that's Heyman just doing Heyman stuff, just making sure that everybody knows that this is a serious deal, trying to put over Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross. I fully expect Karrion Kross to retain.
Agreed. No, it's what you should do. You know, NXT is kind of looked at either the third brand or developmental, depending on who you are.
On this podcast, it's the one brand. I mean, it is.
No, I was going to say it's the one brand on the WWE side.
Well, we talk about NXT before we talk about anything else WWE, and including takeovers.
Roster. I'll say this: when Paul Heyman speaks, when he came up, I was like, "What the fuck?" Paul Heyman's on the NXT promo, so it immediately caught my attention. From that point, all I heard was it was too close to call. Okay, fair enough. You did what you were supposed to do. As somebody that watches the WWE product, at least Raw and SmackDown regularly, NXT regularly, when I see Paul Heyman on NXT programming, that to me at least captures my attention. And from that point, he said his 2 minutes, and we moved on. There's nothing wrong with that. It did what it was supposed to do. It got both brands over.
The guaranteed good segment of NXT every single week is Cameron Grimes. And we get Cameron Grimes versus Jake Atlas, who's probably a little underused. DiBiase shows up. I can't say enough about this stuff. This stuff, I love it every single week, and it's because I love Cameron Grimes so much. Jason.
If there's something, okay, you wanted to get on me about Leon Ruff last week. If there's something that I'm willing to take the fall for every week moving forward, this is that fucking segment. I didn't even like the fact that there was even a Cameron Grimes Ted DiBiase relationship, or an analogy, whatever you want to call it. Now this motherfucker has a life of its own. I don't even want Cameron Grimes to have matches. I want to see what he and Ted DiBiase do moving forward, to where now ultimately you'll have something at a takeover or whatever the case may be. Maybe they'll have a match. They probably won't, but you'll have a Ted DiBiase.
Like a surrogate.
Yeah.
And that'll be like a Bobby Lashley for Donald Trump.
That'll be somebody new they can introduce into NXT, somebody they want to bring
Virgil or something.
Something like that. But ultimately, I said it many, many times. I hated it then. Now, between that, I can't even believe I'm getting ready to say this on air. That and the Dexter Loomis segments are the two non-in-ring segments I look forward to every week. You're a
nerd. Zach, what do you think?
I mean, I just like to take my electric toothbrush and massage my taint while listening to Cameron Grimes intro music. That's how much I like him.
Do yourself a favor. Just go on Spotify and just put it on your like songs list or whatever.
So they're doing a Pete Dunne thing now, where Pete Dunne they're clearly building him towards something big. Like, he is talking about how he wants the belt. He's talking about how he's the best technical wrestler in the promotion. I guess what I'm thinking is this moving towards Pete Dunne versus Karrion Kross, or is this moving towards Pete Dunne versus Daniel Bryan? Zach.
Yeah, go ahead first. Let me think about this.
I hadn't even thought about that until you said it. I mean, it's kind of a genius play if that's the case. I mean, my God, if Daniel Bryan's not going to do the things that I had expounded on about him being the ultimate free agent. I mean, you can do a lot worse than a feud with fucking Pete Dunne. I just love how matter-of-fact Pete is in his promos, where he's just like, cruiserweight title, I already beat Kushida. As far as I'm concerned, that title's mine if I want it.
Walter.
NXT UK title, unfinished business, Walter.
I could go back there and beat him right now.
I could go back there and do that. He's just like all matter of fact, and he's like, but he's like, maybe I'll chase this the main brand title. He's like, I don't know. I just do whatever the fuck I want.
Pete Dunne versus Daniel Bryan that's a match that has some that's got some juice on it.
Well, obviously it does, because I mean, you would have two of the arguably top 5, technical wrestlers in the game, in the world. I mean, I'm not talking, we're not even talking, promotion lines. I mean, if I had control of the wrestling world and I could have, a bunch of dream matches, this could be obviously a dream match. Now, that said, I like the fact that you don't have Pete Dunne necessarily calling out names, but he called out the title. At some point, he wants to wrestle for the NXT title. He has all these other great matches, which we've already talked about, and obviously fantastic, whatever the case may be. To me, that promo was like a boxing promo. I beat this guy, I beat that guy, or MMA, whatever, your combat sport of choice should be or is. To me, it was kind of like, I did this, I've done that, I've already beat that guy, I can beat that guy. Pete Dunne, at some point, I think they're kind of like delaying this to see if Daniel Bryan resigns, or if he goes on that Toro Cody that we talked about, last week, or whatever the case may be. To me, and I think we all kind of agree with this, probably the best match until Pete Dunne goes after a title would be Daniel Bryan versus Pete Dunne. From there, you've at least set Pete Dunne up to where he can go multiple ways.
Well, that's a match that would get everybody excited.
It's just
everybody in our world.
Well, yeah, because I was getting ready to say it's not for the promo guys; it's for the smarts, the technical.
Can you imagine if they gave those guys 30 minutes?
It's on, and it could be obviously a match of the year candidate.
Killian Dane versus Alexander Wolf. Imperium turns on Alexander Wolf at the end of this match.
Ruh-roh.
I don't know what the fuck is going on there. Are they trying to put back together sanity or what?
No, I mean, Alexander Wolf got fired the next day, so.
He did get fired, and I think that was part of the reason why they went with, well, I wouldn't say part
Alexander
of the
Wolf got released?
Yes.
Breaking news. I did not know that.
Go ahead, Tubier. Finish your thought, and I'm going to piggyback on it.
Oh, that's all. It's just kind of wonder. It's like,
okay,
whenever they told him the angle, he obviously hadn't been released yet, so they're like, hey, you're going to, feud with these guys now, and then they just fired him the next day. You're like, what the fuck? We're just going to beat you down. And he's like, oh, okay.
Well, let's use this time to talk about the other.
My thought is that they had that little tease on who could be the next Imperium, candidate, and we always kind of talked about Timothy Thatcher. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and go into that, and then I'm going to say who I think could be the possible replacement.
So who else got released? Alexander Wolf got released. Vanessa Bourne got released. Velveteen Dream is the big one. I can't.
Story, who's Brandy Lauren.
Brandy
Lauren. She's only been around since October. She wasn't even on TV yet.
I cannot wait.
I have no idea.
Have we talked about Velveteen Dream yet? I didn't think so.
No.
Okay,
I can't wait till the Dark Side of the Ring about Velveteen Dream in season 18.
I'll just say this.
Oh, shit. I just rhymed. I'm like Max Caster. Can't wait for the Dark Side of the Ring about Velveteen Dream in 2018.
Okay, he's about to say, Tony Khan, hit your boy up. I'll just say this.
Find me, Tony.
Velveteen Dream.
Turn Orange Cassidy into a tangerine.
I was about to say, I'm just going to be the hype man at this point. I'll just say this. Velveteen Dream, and I think we kind of talked about this, especially during the pandemic era when we were going back and watching old NXT matches. I think he's a great worker. I think the crowd has a certain charisma behind him. All that said, to me, this is kind of New Jack-ish, or just basically New Jack. Who he is in the ring is one thing. Who he is outside of the ring is probably something totally different.
Nah,
I'm a little surprised. No,
it's got nothing to do with there's no similarities between Velveteen Dream and New Jack. Velveteen Dream was soliciting minors online, and I mean, when you're as big as WWE or NXT or whatever, you're doing a cost-benefit analysis. Is it worth it for us to have this guy around, considering what he's being accused of? Or Matt Riddle? Or fucking whoever else? What are you counting?
I'm counting months. Okay, so he was not on TV since December. January, February, March, April, May. 5 months. Okay, so it's not like WWE doesn't have the resources to kind of dig in to kind of figure out what's happening.
Or maybe they did.
Okay.
And they said, fuck this guy.
In 5 months, so you're going to tell me in 5 months they can figure out what happened and then it couldn't have a cost analysis fucking discussion
or
about...
it's just not worth it to them to keep him around.
Then why not...
He's not going to make them enough money. They have enough guys.
Why not do it in December, January, February, whatever the case may be? It's not like...
Who the fuck knows?
Okay, it's not like... Two Beers said it multiple times. It's not like they're not making money, number one. And number two, more importantly, a lot of these people, especially at least on the NXT side, have a 30-day, non-compete clause. So basically for a month, WWE pays your ass not to do anything, stay off TV.
I kind of have a feeling that we're never going to see Velveteen Dream again. That's a gut feeling.
Not on national television wrestling, but maybe in a mugshot.
Yes, I agree with Zach. I mean, I really do.
I mean, I might see him at the yearly, cheerleader car wash here at the local high school.
See, you ain't shit.
I was taking a drink of beer, but that's fucking really funny. I would have laughed if I wasn't taking a drink of beer.
I'll say this much. Tessa Blanchard hasn't got... Tessa Blanchard hasn't gotten signed, and there's something to be said about that. So if we're going to
what was her deal? She said the N-word?
She had said the N-word, and basically,
she's also hard to deal with.
She has a evil lease kind of a
by Zach saying that, he's implying that saying the N-word doesn't mean somebody's hard to deal with. It means that he's down with it.
Okay, I was getting ready to say hard to deal with first.
She said the N-word? She's also hard to deal with.
Hard to deal with is the more important.
God damn, Zach. Unbelievable. We had Legado del Fantasma versus Thatcher and Ciampa in what was my favorite match on NXT. What you think, Zach?
This was left out of my Hulu, so I didn't see it.
To me, this was a number one contenders match, for lack of a better term. But then when GYV came out, it wasn't even number one contenders match anymore. So basically, when Grizzled Young Veterans came out and had the interference, it basically sets up Legado del Fantasma to get the win.
Let's just call him LDF. It's so hard to say.
LDF
for
gets
us
the win.
Gringos. Well, not gringo, but Americans.
Yeah, say gringos. There's a third gringo in here, or second gringo in here.
Negros.
Ain't this a bitch?
That's what they say in Mexico.
To me, I wish they didn't even had this match, because you already had the setup for this match when Grizzled Young Veterans lost to Ciampa and Thatcher. Now, the fact that you had Imperium kick out
Alexander Wolf.
Alexander Wolf, it kind of leads more to, which I even hate to say his name up to this point, Drake Maverick is back to where he's kind of being not a central figure, but a nice little bridge to what could be. You know, a year ago we were talking about, you know, he's getting fired and all of a sudden he's making this cruiserweight run. And now a year later, I'm at least laughing at him for the fact he's just like, nah, man, I know it's getting ready to happen. It's kind of like laughing at us smarks that, you know, we're waiting for the heel turn. He's waiting for the heel turn being Drake Maverick, and he's just like, "No, man, no, I'm just waiting." But then at the end, he's just like, "Celebrate!" It's a nice little dichotomy, and I didn't know that Alexander Wolf got fired until 2 days.
Bobby
after the fact.
Fish comes out. He calls out two guys, Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan. I would expect him to go over Oney Lorcan and then put over Pete Dunne. Right?
That sounds accurate. Yeah. And
right.
Bobby Fish, good promo. You didn't realize it whenever Adam Cole's cutting promos for 3 years, but he did a good job.
Saray, she beats Aaliyah in a pretty short match.
Mercedes Martinez, that's all I'm going to say. When I see...
Aaliyah still got a job. I mean, besides the nose job.
Stop. Jesus Christ. God damn, man. I was going to be serious and be like, you know, Mercedes Martinez should be a part of this, and now you're going to throw up no job.
You didn't do Charlotte Flair like that, but Hit Row.
Okay.
Hit Row.
Okay.
They have ascended my best of my favorite wrestlers very quickly. Those guys are fucking cool. Those guys can...
I like a faction.
I like Swerve being a part of being the
lead of the
head
faction.
of a faction. Right.
And already basically like, you know, I'm watching this main event. You know, I don't care who wins, but just know that, you know, Swerve's basically, as a baseball reference, Swerve's on deck. Whoever wins, just know that Swerve's watching this shit.
I think Hit Row is ready for the main roster already.
Dude,
they go over Tony Nese and Arya Daivari, who
Tony Nese.
Sign of the Cross. God bless them. Both those guys are fucking great.
I remember Tony Nese going into, like, when I was watching 205 on the regular, he was like, you know, that 205 like champion. You know, they built a whole fucking storyline behind him, the whole shebang. Like I said, I don't watch 205 like I watched it then, but I mean, damn, when I saw him come out last night, I was like, ugh.
Zach, was Hit Row on your Hulu?
Yeah, and they came across great. I love the old school, like, Death Row vibe of, like, the music. I thought that was a play on the name, like, last week, but then they come out with, like, that female kind of vocalist, you know, kind of shit, like, on the, you know, All Eyes on Me kind of vibe, like that 1996, 1995, like Tupac era. It was cool shit.
And then we had Bronson Reed goes over Johnny Gargano, and Bronson Reed is your new NXT North American champion. I felt like they laid it on pretty thick about his wife being in the crowd, and they laid it on pretty thick, which made it seem like a foregone conclusion. But how'd you like that match,
Probably like the second best thing that happened to him this week after Drake Worth getting fired.
Ooh, no, come on, man. See, come on, man.
A fucking nut job.
Good.
That guy.
That's fucking funny.
Just because that man was trying to make sure that his community is safe doesn't give you the excuse to call him a nut job.
Zach, response?
Drake
Wirtz?
Drake Wirtz was the one that was like fucking
the referee.
Dude, yeah, he's a total whack job. Like, dude, like Bronson Reed is like one of the guys that was like calling out NXT roster for going out and partying and shit whenever like they're supposed to be like all locked down and stuff, because like he's from New Zealand where like they handled it like super well. Yeah, fuck Drake Wirtz.
I can't believe that Bronson Reed got that big on that island. Like, there can't be that much to eat, right?
I was about to say, you big like that, you find something to eat.
I did like the match. Typical kind of cage match from WWE where there's a ton of interference, though. but he did overcome it, and I love that he had the opportunity to walk out of the cage, but he decided to slam the door and then climb the ropes and do the big splash again. And I also love the artwork. Like, whoever put together that package with, like, the comic book artwork of Johnny and Bronson, like, that was real deal good shit.
Very comic bookish, and as a huge comic book guy, I love that shit. I'll give you that.
I like Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano.
I mean, what more can be said about Johnny Gargano at this point, especially on the NXT level? I mean, at this point, it's either he never goes up and he's just going to be the gatekeeper at some form or fashion from this point on, moving forward on the NXT level, or he goes up and then, you probably roll the dice to see what happens. But to me, ultimately, the cage served its purpose. That's the whole reason why Bronson Reed won this cage match, is to keep Austin Theory at bay. Yeah, granted, Austin Theory, tried to open the door, tried to, climb up the cage or whatever, but that was more so to add to Bronson Reed's babyface, moment in this scenario. All credit due to Bronson Reed. Yeah, 14 years in the game, now you're the NXT champion. So, yeah, I ain't mad at the man that he's going to boo-hoo for that shit. And, you're going to prop it up for that. By all means, knock yourself out.
He's going to go up to the main roster, and then he'll get sent back down to learn how to work.
No, stop.
A la Keith Lee.
No, okay. I get that Keith Lee is MIA, but I'll just say this. Supposedly, and take it for what it's worth, this is not going to be, I'm quoting somebody that said this, but supposedly Keith Lee, if he got COVID, I'll start to, cover my ass. If he got COVID, the reason why he hasn't been on TV is because he hasn't recovered from COVID very well. It's not like, all of a sudden he forgot to wrestle or you couldn't train him to wrestle a different way.
Well, no, Vince did send him back down, though.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
Special classes.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
If that's
but
the case,
now,
then I hope he gets a good recovery.
Just on the fact that we're talking about, Sheamus is a great example. I mean, he's throwing these open challenges out, and then here comes Humberto Carrillo.
Sheamus fucking rules, though. Like, Sheamus has been on fire.
Without question. I didn't like RKO Bro, and I said it on Twitter the other night. I didn't like RKO Bro off the jump, and we got me on tape with saying this. When Matt Riddle came out and was singing the Randy Orton song behind him, I openly laughed. And that's why I was like, okay, you
and
got
then he
me.
shoved Xavier Woods.
Yeah,
so maybe
you got me. You have me. Now at this point, this is something that I didn't think I would see. The possible, flip of Matt Riddle being healed.
Either you die a hero or you live long enough
to be the villain.
No, I was going to say, or you live long enough to be in the tag team with Matt Riddle.
This is banned from ringside.
Why isn't Pat McAfee a heel on commentary?
I think he is.
No, he's
I
not.
totally think he is.
He's not.
I think he is the heel commentator on SmackDown. Now
he is. No, he's not.
Yeah, he keeps it. No, he.
This
keeps
is bad
it,
pod.
No, he keeps it clean.
Break the tie, Zach.
Yeah, break the tie.
I don't think he's a heel enough.
Thank you.
You don't think he's a heel enough. So you're saying that there's heel-ish qualities. It's not like he's totally. It's not like he. No, okay. Look, I'll give you the credit for this one. You can win this battle, but I'm not saying I'm that far off. You see what I'm talking about, correct?
You talking to me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like he kind of vacillates between, and I'd rather Nigel McGuinness is very much the commentator at NXT.
There you go.
And it's almost annoying because he kind of overdoes it, to where and I get that heels don't make logical sense, and that's kind of the point. But he's a fun character. Not Nigel McGuinness. What's his name? Wade Barrett, the other European guy.
I think Wade Barrett's great.
Barrett.
Yeah, but I think in this scenario, he's
but
a clear.
Pat
he's a clear
McAfee entered NXT as this massive fucking heel, this great fucking heel, and then they put him on SmackDown. He's kind of a tweener. He's like talking about how great it is that Dominic and Ray are both tag team champions. He should be fucking making fun of them.
Okay, is for 30 seconds. Is that not a decent story? Can we not?
Of course it is. What would Bobby Heenan say about it?
It would absolutely suck.
What would Bobby Heenan say about it?
It would absolutely
That's
suck.
what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Fair. No, that's fair.
And the last thing.
I just rewatched the first episode of Raw where Bobby Heenan is like locked out of the building, and they have the worst heel commentator I've ever fucking heard in my life. I can't even remember his name. He's like a comedian. It's like Macho Man Vince, and then this fucking shock jock.
Dennis Miller?
Who's fucking...
Bubba the Love Sponge?
No.
Look at
Close,
you.
though.
Look at you. Just like, we're going to keep digging till we get a name.
In that vein. A no-name guy, though. And he was terrible. Bobby Heenan is like dressing as a woman trying to get into the fucking...
Right.
I remember that.
Okay, so...
It was awesome.
So Adam Van... what's his name again? Jesus, this guy that's on baseball, that should be doing baseball, that's doing
Adnan Virk.
Okay, is he really that bad? I don't think he's that bad.
No,
I
he's
just think
fine.
He's fine. Just think he's just out of his league.
I just think it's going to take him some time to get used to it. Like, we're used to fucking Michael Cole and Tom Phillips and Vic Joseph, guys who have like cut their teeth doing it. Like, he's a baseball guy
that's doing wrestling.
They'll make him bad. Even if he isn't bad, they'll make him bad.
I gotta think that when he was watching that zombie thing, like I was listening to him be like, he was like, man, what decision did I make? Like,
we moved to a safer ground. I'm like, dude, there's no safer ground. There's zombies everywhere.
One last thing we gotta talk about before we're out of here is Will Ospreay had to vacate the NJPW belt due to a broken or a
neck injury, I believe.
Yeah, it was a neck injury. What are they going to do?
First things first. I mean, speedy recovery to Will Ospreay. I saw this on Twitter, and this sounds like, to me, at least, if we fancy book it, the best idea I can think of off the top of my head. We proceed on as we go forward, but the G1, because it is the Super Bowl of New Japan, the winner of the G1 is the winner of the New Japan Championship. To me, that's the only way I can possibly think of.
I was thinking the exact same thing, and I think that would be fucking badass.
To where now you can still...
Daniel Bryan is the new New Japan heavyweight champion.
Okay, see.
I was going to say Sabre Jr.
I was going to go with Andre. But that's okay. But that to me is, I think, the best way you can go about it.
So if you had to put money on it right now, Zach, I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
Who do you think will be the next NJPW World Heavyweight Champion?
If I was putting money on it, I would say Ibushi.
That would be that's my guess too.
So you saw me word it, and that's why I wanted
Who you saying, Okada?
Yeah, of course, because, I mean, to me, at least it sets up to be Okada again. If you wanted to do Ibushi as a redemption story, it comes back to being, for full circle, so be it. They were going with Okada Ospreay. It'd have been hard for me to pick Ospreay at that point. Sorry, not sorry.
I'm ready for the G1.
No shit.
This is banned from ringside.
Hey, everybody, we got some birthdays this week. Road Dogg Jesse James is 52. Occam, you remember him?
Yes,
he's 28.
Did he invent the razor?
He did. Benoit would have been 54. And you know what I was thinking about this today? When I was thinking about how hard I was going to be on New Jack, I was like, was I this hard on Benoit too? It's like, yeah, fuck Benoit. Yes, I was also this hard on Benoit. Fuck Benoit. Happy 54th birthday, you poor bastard. Ibushi, the aforementioned, is 39. Brian Pillman would have been 59. R.I.P. Daniel Bryan, the other aforementioned, is 40. Happy birthday, Daniel Bryan.
He's only fucking 40 years old.
40.
Jesus Christ.
Joe Coffey is 33. Alex Shelley is 38. Where the fuck is Alex Shelley? Bray Wyatt is 34. Alberto Del Rio, enjoy prison, you motherfucker, is 44. Roman Reigns is 36, and Bo Dallas is 31.
He's banging Liv Morgan on a ranch somewhere.
Whoa, what? Whoa.
Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to ours. For Vice,
check.
For Tender Mahal, for Murray
Double
the Merman Murray, for
check.
Lucha Chris,
Check.
for F&B Eatery, R.I.P.
R.I.P. check.
For Two Beer Zach Pullman, for James and Cornelius Bell, I am saying
Double check.
support your local restaurants, support your local weed dealers.
Triple check.
Black lives fucking matter. I
don't know how
am
many
Bill
checks are off that
Vagey
one.
and everybody
Double
else.
check on Bill Vagey.
Boo the Heat!